Hello, gamers! Today, tiling and prefabs. Let's get started. Okay, so one of the things we'll be doing in this is we'll be basically adding damage zones to our map. We'll be doing the coding later, but for now, just in terms of how do we take sort of something, and again, I'm using the Ducko stuff. We have, but you can use whatever. Okay, so we have something called here damage zone. So we could, click and drag this, and eventually we'll be making it so that like we can make it so that this will hurt the character and so on and so forth. But how do we get it so that like we could make multiple sort of like tiles, not using a tile map, but basically making it so that a game object is going to kind of like repeat itself? I could, kind of like stretch it out, but you see that's kind of like problematic. Also, it's like massive. Okay. I could also, just put a bunch of them down, but like that is not going to be something that's going to scale well. Okay. So we are going to, so go ahead, take the damage zone, bring it in. Okay. And then what we're going to be doing is we're going to be changing some things that will make it so that we can basically repeat the sprite as a tile. So we go ahead here, select your game object for your damage zone. Where it says draw mode, go ahead, okay, and then set that to tiled. All right. Let's just go ahead back here, okay, and then go ahead and make sure that your tile mode is set to adaptive. We are now going to go to the actual damage zone, like sprite that's being imported, okay, and we're going to change the mesh type to full rect, R-E-C-T, for rectangle. We click on OK. All right. So now we have this, and it's going to like basically repeat the pattern based upon how big you make this. Okay. That process can be reused. I mean, it's not going to be appropriate for every sprite type, but at least for this case, this is a good use case of it. Okay. The other thing we're going to do today, I'm going to just go back to its original size. Okay. Is we're going to make a folder for our prefabs. So I'm going to go to my assets folder, almost the top level. Before we had been kind of like working, we did do our scripts folder earlier. We're going to go to the assets folder. I'm going to right click. I'm going to do create, and I am going to say folder, and I'm going to create something just called prefabs. Okay, let's go into that. I'm going to just click and drag this damage zone into this folder, and that is going to be what's called a prefab. This is going to be something that we'll be working with a lot later, like when we create enemies. Think of this as basically the start of, I'm going to have a collection of almost like cookie cutters. And so later on, when eventually I'll be adding a script to this game object, but basically later on, if I want to make it so that like my template for the damage zone, I need to adjust something. If I have a bunch of damage zones, that's going to have me going to like 50, maybe 50 damage zones. I want one place that is going to be the definitive place for damage zones or for enemies or for other objects in my game. And I can basically make an adjustment at one spot, and then those changes will flow out to the rest of the objects that use that prefab as a template. So that'll be something that'll pay dividends later. So, anyways, I wish you the best of luck. Great stuff.